Let's have a look at our migration vault approach and how we can use it to take external metadata like from Flow.BI and deploy it directly into the Datavault Builder. And for this, I have prepared only a small subset of our migration vault approach. I took only the hub entity, the link, and as well we are taking now in the first step only links with 2 connections, just to make it a little bit simpler for demonstration purposes. It is possible to migrate all of the different links of columns, staging tables, source systems and everything, and generate even more based on the model information we receive. But let's start simple. And let's have a look at here. We have already prepared our input system, and this input system is not about data, that's about metadata. And just for preparation, I prepared here already the hubs table that Flow.BI is giving us. So we received different hubs, hub names and definitions. I'm not going here into details as well, partially because some of the metadata by Flow.BI is their copyrighted intellectual property. So let's have a look on how we map this here to our model. So we want to add here some hubs. So we go to our Flow.BI system, we take the hub name here as the natural key. This is not then the key that we will be using in the Datavault Builder, but this is how to identify the relations in the original metadata. And we are storing now this attributes coming from Flow.BI into its own satellite. So we can have a short look as well here. I have preloaded here already the attributes for the hub. And now we can go to the dimensional model. And here we have a lot of objects that are coming already with the migration vault because they are the processing after we have mapped the external source data. But I will go just in here, select that I want to map the hub, select that it's coming from Flow.BI, and STD type 1, I just want to have the latest information. That's perfectly fine. We will create a history, so if later on we want to look at what's the problem, what changed, we can do that. But here now, the migration vault gives me already a list of attributes that we'll like to know. So we can go in here and say, okay, we do a best guess mapping. So for the subject area, we map it with the schema name. We have the comment. That's good as well. Do we have external ID? Yes, I used that already in here, but I will map it here explicitly as well. External ID. In that case, it is the hub name. We will not map the object ID. That would be the case if we would have already Datavault Builder IDs coming from an external source system. We can take here the object name. It would be in that case the table name. And we can use the tags receiving from the source. Good, we don't have data domains and the object ID, that's perfectly fine. Let's have a look on how this looks like. And we get our list mapped to the Datavault Builder names that we need. I could put in now as well some specific rules like concatenation, substrings in here. We don't need that because the metadata that as we receive it is already okay. So I just include it here into our processing output. And now let's run our whole pipeline. So it will get now the newest information from our Flow.BI model that was generated for us. We will load the hub and the satellite. And after that, the business rule will run. And the business rule contains information, rules about how to derive the object IDs. And after that, it will prepare our special deployment format that we use in the Datavault Builder. So this is completely generic, so you don't need to change in here anything. So let's have a look on what happened now in the output. So let's go to the business rules section. Let's have a list at the hub, and we see here already we have the object ID in the Datavault Builder format. It's object type of hub. And we have here already the deployment JSON documents. So what is the next step to do? We will now run a small Python script, and this Python script is showing the use of our APIs. So it will connect to the Datavault Builder. In that case, we have SQL APIs that just gives the metadata in the right format. It will write a local deployment package. And the reason we are doing this is that we can use then different versions of deployment packages and deploy them step by step. So already have taken care of that. You're maybe in Flow.BI have one source system in the beginning, then more. You maybe modify the metadata, and all these changes can be then created in different deployment packages and deployed step by step. So now let's deploy what we just created. So what I did, I prepared here a second instance of the Datavault Builder, and I cleared up everything. This is running on my local machine. Could be run in the cloud, could run on premises on a Linux server. And now I pull in here the deployment package, and I'm just doing it on purpose visually. We could use as well the interfaces, and the script that we saw running could have completed everything. But just that we see what it does, I drag now the package in here. And now it will compare the current version, which is the empty sandbox, which I just reset, and the files that were generated based on the metadata of my source. So I have here the different hubs. So we could now here just select now the hubs and say we want to deploy all of them, or at least the one that should be created, which are all of them. And let's deploy them. And if you go now into the Datavault model, step by step, all these hubs are being created, and one of the central elements in here in this data model that we receive is the user. So let's take the user, and we will see that the hub was created. And if you look here at the descriptions, that we see that as well the comment was taken over, that we have the subject area, we have just here the schema of course. So we would probably go and ask for better information later on, or maybe if we just misunderstood what to map there, and could change our mapping. And this is how fast you can add here new elements if you have your metadata available in any kind of format like XML files, JSON files, database queries, and you can bring it to the Migration Vault meta model that we have seen here to map it to the Datavault Builder. But as our model right now contains only hubs, yes, lots of them with all the metadata that we have, we want as well create relations between them. So what's the next step? So we need to go in here and in the right Datavault Builder instance where we have the Migration Vault, and here we will now load our link data. And here for testing, I have just selected one special snapshot so I can develop better and see exactly what are the changes in my code and not in the generated data sets. So I will add here a new table. Select the right schema where the information is prepared for us. Let's set the development filter and let's load the data. It will create a new ETL load, it will connect to the sources, it will add this to the main job, it will add it to documentation. So we have a production ready pipeline now that we can run not only once, but a lot of times later on if we want to update this information. So let's have a look at the data as well. Here I don't go too much into the details to protect their intellectual property, but what we will do in here is that we will add a new load for the link. And what I will do in that case here is I take the link name and the link number, And I would usually test now here if this combination is unique, and it is. So this is perfectly fine, and it will automatically check the setting that keys are unique. This means that now it can store all the metadata we're receiving for this link into a satellite. It will add the satellite loads, all the tracking, if something was deleted in the source system. And as again, we have here a production ready load. So we can start it, load the metadata. And a few seconds later, we should receive the information already in historized format. Data lineage was updated, documentation was updated, and we're good to go. But the problem is that we have no relations to hubs yet. And on purpose, will now select only the relations that are connecting two hubs to make it simpler, because for more relations, we would then need one more concept, which we can do later. But now to start here, we need the relations. So we go back in here and let's add here. Now let's do it really in an agile way. So we try to map really what we have already loaded to our dimensional model. As well, here in the migration vault, we have already a prototype of this interface, so we know exactly which columns we need to fill. So we can see what we can already deliver and what is missing. And here we see what is required. So can we provide here already some of this information? Yes, we have the table name. It will give us the name here for the relation as well. Then we have the comments that are additional, so we can just add them here for the output. And we don't have the link type yet. This would be something like if it's a many-to-many, one-to-many link. That's not relevant for the implementation in the data vault, but it's relevant then for the dimensional models and many other stuff. As well, the suffix ID I am not providing. We will derive that from the name. As well, the object ID, we will derive that automatically from the name. So I'm just storing that, what we have. And this is our first guess here. Good. So now we need to somehow receive the relations for this link, because the link is just the definition that the link exists. So we go and we stage the next table. And these are the link references. As well here, I will use the same filter that we have always the same snapshot. And now we will create this relation to the hubs, and we will be starting by adding the link load in here and then splitting it up. But now we have a special case. And in one table, these two legs are in two different rows. But the good thing is there's an indicator which one is which one. So let's go back into the link references and say, this is our first load. And we go in here to see in the columns, and which is the ordinal number 1 and 2. Is equal to 1. Good. So this will be one leg, and we split it already during staging. We'll see if I did any typing mistake. But this looks okay. Good. So let's add here our load. And to see what kind of key we need to put in here from Flow.BI, we can put that a little bit aside and see that the link name and the link number is the key. So let's see if we have both these key parts in here. The link name and the link number is in here. Let's try if this is unique. And as I did already split it, that the two rows that we have for the same link, I filtered only for one. It is unique. So I set it to be unique. I don't want to have here now any other kind of links in here. I'm not adding here the satellite because this is not relation at this grain. And now we need to fill the link to our first hub. And I'm not 100% sure anymore which column it is. So I can just click here on these two columns, which I'm thinking that this could it be, but if you see here, it's the reference name, is the relation to the link. This is the big advantage if we're working directly in an interactive tool, that we can test the stuff, see what is happening, and I would expect that more concepts could link to the same concept. So that's perfectly fine. So the hub user is linking to 251 other hubs. It is the central entity in Salesforce. So that looks quite okay. So keys are unique is not checked. Can add the link here. Link exists. In fact, I'm just adding the link load. So this was already our first leg, and now we need to have the second hub. So let's go in here and let's duplicate that. So I'm lazy, I just copy my filters over from here. So I can stage the same table again. Even if it's gray, don't worry, it's just indicating that I did it before to give me some information about it, but I can just stage it again, say now 2, and this will be hub B references. Let's go, let's add it here. And the point is we're doing always only one thing at a time. So I'm now caring only about the second relation. Again, I'm checking here what I did before, that I have the same order. And for Flow.BI, it was the link name and then the link number. And now let's add here the second load. It will be the reference name as well. It shouldn't be unique as well. That's good. That's what we expected. And now we created all this relation between these tables. And by this hub's already being connected to the hub, and we have resolved already the metadata from there, automatically now the migration vault will pull in the derived ID, so we don't need to configure anything more. We can just go in here, run our job. So after we have run everything and have seen that the results are there, and we have run our Python scripts, let's load our deployment package as a last check into our second environment where we're deploying everything. So we take the folder again. Let's drag in all the files. By the way, this is a special file format that works perfectly well for Git. So in Git, you would see all the differences. Like here, we have some comment changes, but if we go here to the category of links, which are all new, we see that they can be deployed. So let's select all of them. Not all of them will work because we need to tweak then more stuff, but that's fine now because we're working agile, so we see what does work. We will get a result directly which kind of links couldn't be deployed. Let's have a look at some of them that worked, like user to permission. So we go out here. Let's go to the data vault section. Let's search for the user hub. And we see already that the user is getting more and more relations around it. And we see that there can be several quotes for a user. The user can be linked to certain reports. There are some campaigns around it. There are some parties related to it. And this slowly builds up, and we can browse through the model. So if there are any more entities connected, we can go and see gradually how this builds up here. But I guess the deployment in the meantime completed. 83 links could be created, 13 not. So we would go and just check now what is about them. Are the hubs really there? Is some different stuff wrong? But you see that we have already, in this few minutes, the hubs and the links there in the first version, and can iterate now to import more and more stuff and more metadata in here.